Ma'am, Louisville is one of the most diverse cities in North Texas. So I would appreciate it if you would keep your comments general as opposed to
They are general.
Okay.
They are general.
I'm
not attacking you, sir.
Okay.
I'm speaking on the history, and I would appreciate it if you do not interrupt me, Mayor.
Like leaves on the Mississippi River. Black.
I have Peyton Jackson. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Peyton Jackson. Are you aware that the only way to grow is to be uncomfortable? So, let's get uncomfortable. What is your biggest monthly expense? Housing is usually the answer. But one way to curb that and afford the ignorance of increasing rental prices is through home ownership. But thanks to Roosevelt and the Home Owners Loan Act, my people were stripped of yet another American dream. My child will be the first generation in my family to inherit a property, all because a white man had access to red crayons and maps instead of his coloring book. By way of redlining, financially speaking, we could afford the properties, but we were legally blocked by the local and federal government. 98% out of 100. 98% of home loans went to white people, all because you never expected to be my neighbor, unless I was in the outhouse. Because when I move in now, values decline. But when you come back, it's gentrified. And now we can't afford rents and neighborhoods that we grew up in. But I'm guessing, just like how y'all tried to force us back to Africa, it's just another one of your covered sins.
Ma'am, Louisville is one of the most diverse cities in North Texas. So I would appreciate it if you would keep your comments general as opposed to
They are general.
Okay.
They are general.
I'm
not attacking you, sir.
Okay.
I'm speaking on the history, and I would appreciate it if you do not interrupt me, Mayor. All because you never expected to be my neighbor. Black America lost trillions of dollars in equity and opportunity costs, all because after kidnapping us, enslaving us, raping us, breeding us, selling us, trading us, black codes, sharecropping, convict leasing, peonage, oppression, Jim Crow, and even police brutality, to this day, you never expected to be my neighbor. All for reparations say I. The ayes have it. The next time a citizen is talking, hold your tongue.
Had gone differently. If the British had won, then the men who signed the Declaration of Independence would have been hanged. They would have been executed as traitors. So they knew they were risking their lives to sign it. So on one hand, these men gave this extraordinary gift to all of us and infused the founding of our nation with the most enlightened principles that had ever informed the founding of a nation in history. But 41 of them were slave owners. So that's how it all began. The tension was there at the beginning. The dichotomy was there at the beginning. The polarity was there at the beginning between the fact that on one hand, there are these extraordinarily enlightened, extraordinarily illumined principles, radical in nature, extraordinary in what they mean in terms of the possibilities for humanity to soar, for any person to soar, that any person could have rights to be who they want to be, do what they want to do, act actualize whatever their God-given potential, and that government would not lord over them, but that government would be there to support those rights. We have been that. We aspire to be that throughout our history. And yet, from our very beginning, we have also contained as a nation people and forces which have and who have directly transgressed against those principles. That was there in 1776. It has been there in every single generation. The narrative of American history is that at every time in our history, there have been those whose hearts were ablaze, who did grasp, people who understood how extraordinary a gift it is to us and to the entire world, that there should be a country founded on the notion that all should be able to self-actualize and that nobody should stand in their way. And in every generation, there have been those who said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to have slavery. We're going to have genocide. We're going to have segregation. We're going to have oppression of women. We're going to have institutionalized white supremacy. In every generation, there have been the foes of democracy. And in every generation, there have been those who stood up and said to those foes, you stop right there. And the narrative of American history is that ultimately those who truly love democracy and are willing to stand for democracy and are willing to sacrifice for democracy have won the day. Because we answered slavery with abolition. And we answered the suppression of women with two major waves of feminism and the women's suffragette movement and the passage of the 19th Amendment. We answered the institutionalized white supremacy of the American South and segregation with the civil rights movement. This is not new, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening in our time. This stuff has just come back around again. Once again, we have the foes of genuine democracy. We have those who find real democracy rather inconvenient to their financial purposes. And that's why we don't have universal health care, because God forbid it should cut in to the short-term profits of health insurance companies and big pharma. And we don't have proper gun safety laws because God forbid it should cut into the short-term profits of gun manufacturers. And we don't fight climate change the way we should. Why? Because it might cut in to the short-term profits of fossil fuel companies, and we don't wage peace. We just prepare endlessly for war. Why? Because otherwise, God forbid, it might cut in to the short-term profits of defense contractors. Ladies and gentlemen, this is nothing new. This is just aristocracy again. We're not functioning, you see, as a democracy. We're functioning as a veiled aristocracy. Money's good. We like money. The problem in America is not that people can get rich. It's good that people can get rich in America. The problem is that today, not enough people can get rich. There is a difference between wealth and aristocracy. Wealth means, and many people in America have made great amounts of wealth and have done so righteously. Aristocracy is something different. Aristocracy is where the government functions in such a way as to advocate for the ability of very wealthy people to get even wealthier and make it harder for anybody else to create wealth at all. This kind of tendency is not good for democracy. Louis Brandeis, the late Supreme Court Justice, said that you can either have large amounts of money concentrated in the hands of a very few, or you can have democracy.